Hi, friends. Very good evening. We are back as usual with this time with an interesting topic from arithmetic, which is time and distance. So, I'm sure you all know that time and distance is one chapter which they usually do not miss. Uh, no paper setter would miss that particular chapter while setting the questions. So we are going to discuss this particular chapter today, and I'm sure we will come across many interesting questions. Okay, so without wasting time, let us get started with today's live session. And I am really hoping, as usual, I got a very good response during last few EP sessions. In fact, some of the people who could not join live during the sessions have sent me personal messages to continuing such sessions. So I would love to do that as and when my time permits. Of course, I would love to come in front of you and discuss various challenging and interesting questions at the same time. So let's go ahead with the first one for the day. So let's have a look at this question, guys. It says A starts from point P at 9 a.m. and travels east at 45 km per hour, while B starts a bit later from P and travels south at 30 km per hour for 48 minutes. Okay, so they have said at that instance he is 74 kilometer from A. So the question is, when does B start from P? And the options are of course there in front of you. So have a quick look at this question and let me discuss the solution. Very interesting question, in fact, because it involves understanding of direction sense as well as little bit of geometry and very fundamental concept from time and distance. So if you see, they have said there are two people. So one guy is traveling towards east while the other person is traveling towards south. So this has been mentioned, right? So definitely I can say that this is the direction where A had moved and this is the direction where B had moved, and the distance between them, they have said that distance as 74. All right. So and now the question is, if this guy is traveling at 30 kilometer per hour for 48 minutes, how much distance B will travel? That's the first question we need to answer. So that will be 30. So distance is speed into time, of course. So that is 30 into 48 by 60. You just understand that this is in minutes, but this is in kilometer per hour, which is why we converted uh, 48 minutes into R, which of course is 24. You can easily calculate this. So now you see we come across a right angle triangle where the hypotenuse is 74 and one of the sides is 24. So if I want to understand how long will be the other side, that will be root over 74 square minus 24 square. All right. So you calculate that, it turns out to be 70. So we understand A travels a distance of 70 kilometers. Now the question is, how much time does A take to travel? So you can find out from the speed of A, which is 45 kilometer per hour. So the time taken by A will be, 70 kilometer divided by 45. So this in R. So this is what A has traveled. And if you calculate the time taken for B, that is 48 minutes. I've already mentioned that. So I'm just trying to understand, if I want to find out all the figures in minutes, then I need to multiply this by 60. All right. So you do that, you will find out a value which is around 45 minutes 20 seconds. So what does it give me, guys? It gives me the difference between the duration of journey between A and B. Of course, it means that B has started around 45 minutes later than A. All right. So if I know that, uh, A has started at 9 o'clock in the morning, definitely we know B has started 45 minutes 20 seconds later than A, which means the time at which B starts. That is the question they have asked. So that will be 9, 45, 20, which is option B. All right, so that is your answer to this question. I hope that was pretty clear in front of you. All right, guys, so I'll move to the next one unless I have any comment or any doubt from anywhere. Okay. All right, cool. So we'll go ahead to the next one. So let's figure it out. This is the second one. Please go through the question once. All right. So if you look at the second question, they have basically said, A, B, and C are running in the same direction around a circular track. Um, so it looks like a clock. Basically, a clock is also circular in that sense. The track is marked with numbers from 1 to 12, like the dial of a clock. Okay, that's interesting. So if I see how uh, the track looks like a clock, which is circular, of course. And if I mark the numbers on this, so we are looking at, okay. So I'm just quickly writing the numbers. All right. So that is what it is. Now they have said that uh, A overtakes B. So first of all, if I look at the first statement, they have said A overtakes B once at 5 and then next time at 9. All right. So that means A and B were together at 5, which means A and B both were together over here. So basically what it means is once A and B has come together at 5 and then next time they came together at 9, which basically means by the time one guy has covered this much, the other guy has covered the entire circle and come here back, which means I can definitely find out that among A and B, if I say uh, A is faster, definitely because A is overtaking B. All right. So we can definitely say that by the time B has moved one, two, three, 4 parts, A has moved 4 plus 12 because he has also made one complete round of the circle, that is 12 division. All right, which means he has moved a total of 12 plus 4, that is 16. So by the time B has covered 4 parts, A has covered 16 parts. All right, so their ratio is 4:1. Okay, and now they have said by the time the second statement, if you see, they have said, so let me mark with another color. So they have said A overtakes C once at 2 and next time at 4. So A and C were together at 2, and then by the time C comes at 4, A has made one complete round again and he has come to 4, which means among A and C we can definitely say that by the time C covers 2 parts, A has covered 12 plus 2 because he has also made one complete round, which is 14 parts, right? So their speed ratio is 7:1. Okay. So they have basically said what is the speed ratio of B is to C. I think you should not have any doubt about it because you know what is A by C. So they have said B is to C. That is what they have said. B is to C. So we can write B by A into A by C. So then A will get cancelled and we will get B by C. So B by A, of course, is 1/4. And A by C is 7/1. All right, which means your answer will be 7:4. All right, so your answer is 7:4. Okay, I hope that was clear to all of you. So your answer will be option number 1, which is 7:4. So very basic question, which can be solved with the help of ratio. So, in time and distance, we apply all these concepts called ratio, variations, proportionality, etc. So let me take you to the next one. Please have a look at this question. All right, so here we go. It says Rahim plans to drive from city A to city C at the speed of 70 kilometer per hour to catch a train arriving there from B. Uh, he must reach C at least 15 minutes before the arrival of the train. All right. The train leaves B located 500 kilometers south of A at 8 a.m. That is 8 o'clock in the morning. Then it travels at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. All right. So they have said it is known that C is located between west and northwest of B. All right. So it also includes little bit of concept of direction sense and geometry, if you see, because they have also mentioned angle, where they have said with BC at 60 degree to AB. Also, C is located between south and southeast of A, with AC at 30 degree to AB. All right. So then they have said, what is the latest time by which Rahim must leave A and still catch the train? Okay. And there could be an approximation to this. So that is why they have said it is closest to what. So now let us first do draw the diagram properly. So we are looking at a right angle triangle where they have clearly mentioned. So if I look at the directions and if I look at the basic instructions, that will help us. One thing very, very clear, they have said that B is located 500 kilometers south of A. All right. So definitely we will first put those numbers, right? So A and B are located in such positions where this distance is 500 kilometers and B is towards the south. All right. So that is known to us. Now, what is next? Then they have said C is located between west and northwest of B with BC at 60 degree to AB. In fact, if I know that, there is no need of taking care of the next statement, very next statement, because the moment you see, you can join the other side of two points. All right. So they have said C is located between west and northwest of B, which means and the angle is BC and AB are 60 degree, which means we can definitely conclude that C will be somewhere here. All right. So they have also said BC is 60 degree to AB. All right. So we can definitely say this angle will be 60 degree. All right. So that is done. Now you can join the other 2 points as I was telling you. So just join AC. So you get the moment you join AC, you get to find out a right angle triangle. Although my diagram is not drawn to the scale, so this is a right angle. The one I have marked with red color, that is 90 degree, which means definitely the other angle will be 30 degree. Although we'll see whether we need that, okay, or need that information. So any which way, now guys, we are basically looking at a right angle triangle, where the hypotenuse is 500. One angle is 30 degree, and that is angle A, and the other angle is 60 degree. Okay, so we can apply basic understanding of height and distance or trigonometry, where we know sine 30 degree, the value of sine 30 degree is half. All right. So that means, and sine is basically height by hypotenuse, which means this side, that is, BC. So this side will be definitely half of 500, which is 250. So let me first write that. So this side will be 250 kilometers, and cosine of 60 degree, which is basically going to give you base by hypotenuse, that is root over 3 by 2, which means this side will be 250 multiplied by root over 3. All right, so that's the measurement of the sides. Now they have said that uh, you know uh, the train was traveling at 50 kilometer per hour. Okay, which means from B to C it will take exactly 5 hours. All right, that is 250 divided by 50. I hope you understand. So the train will take exactly 5 hours, which means if the train started at 8 o'clock in the morning, it will reach at point C sharp at 1 p.m., which means if, uh, um, one has to reach 15 minutes before the arrival of the train, which is what they have said. So he must target to reach here at 12:45. Okay, so that is how it looks. Now guys, please understand what is Rahim's speed. 70 kilometer per hour. That is very very strange. Rahim runs at a rate which is faster than the train. Any which way, for the sake of the sum, we'll go ahead with the numbers, although it might not look very likely, but still. So this distance Rahim has to cover is 250 root over 3. So let me erase this side first. Okay. So we understand the distance Rahim has to cover is 250 root over 3. Now let me do some quick calculation. That is 250 root over 3. That's the distance, and Rahim's speed is 70, of course. So I'm trying to understand how much he will take, how much time he will take. Now see, root over 3 happens to be a very close value I'm taking, because finally they have said closest to, so we have to do approximation. So I know that it is 1.732, etc. So if I take it as 1.75, that is 1 and 3 by 4, which is basically 7 by 4. Okay, so what you have over here is so these zeros will get cancelled anyway, so I have a 7 at the denominator, which will also get cancelled. So if I do 25 by 4, that is 6.25. All right, now 0.25 means 1/4. Basically over here 1/4 is 1/4 of an hour, right? So 6 hours and then 1/4 of an hour, which is 15 minutes. I hope you understand. So definitely it will he will have to start at around 6:30. That is the closest value. Okay, so he has to start around 6:30, because he has to remember he has to reach at 12:45 after taking almost 6 hours and 15 minutes. So he has to reach at has to start at 6:30 a.m. So that is your answer. I hope the discussion, the explanation was clear to all of you. Okay, all right. So unless we have any doubt or any comment, we can go ahead. All right. So we'll go on to the next one. Another interesting question. So in every question, you must have observed there are mix of concepts. While we are talking about questions specifically from time and distance, but in most of the questions there are mix of concepts. For example, in this question also, while we solve, we will realize that there are mixed concepts of time and distance as well as geometry. But definitely not I mean, you don't have to have a very in-depth knowledge of geometry. Very very basic and fundamental idea will do. So if you read the question, they have said a jogging park has two identical circular tracks touching each other, and a rectangular track enclosing the two circles. So if I want to draw a diagram representing the way this park looks like, it will be somewhat like this. Circles are touching the sides from inside of the rectangular track. And now they have said A and B started together. Now you need to understand how they're traveling. If you read the question, it will come clear to you. A has been following, so that's A. So A has been following a path which is basically around the the linear part of the track. So that means he's basically covering the entire perimeter of this rectangular track, and you all know how to calculate perimeters, right? Now if I come to B, let us understand how B is traveling. So they have said he moves like 8, so he might move like this and he will come back here. So that is B. So basically what B is covering in terms of the total length is equivalent to the combined circumference of both the circles put together. All right, so if I just want to figure out the ratio of A and B in terms of the total length they have covered. And interestingly, they have said they have come back here simultaneously, right? So their duration of journey was same. So that is where you start solving a time and distance question. Please understand, if the duration of the journey is same, then we can always say distance will be directly proportional to speed. For those who are not very comfortable with this notation, it is basically a notation that denotes variation or proportionality. It means basically the distance ratio will be same as the speed ratio. So as I told you, what will be the distance ratio in this case? How much distance is A covering? Please understand what is the distance ratio of A. That will be, or distance of A. Now, for simplicity, if I take the radius of each circle as 1 unit, because I'm finally comparing, so I have absolute liberty to take a number as per my convenience, right? So if I do that, then please understand the length of this rectangular path will be 4, while the breadth of this path will be 2. Okay, so the perimeter, as you can see, twice of L plus B, that will be 12. All right. Similarly, for B, you see he is covering the combined circumferences. So that is 2 pi r into 2. That means now r is 1 out here. That is what we assume. That means it will be 4 into pi. So I can write 4 into 22/7. All right. And then you can, of course, simplify, because we are finding the ratio. So you can cut this. It will be 3. Now you do cross multiplication. 7 3 is 21. And then this is 22. So we can definitely 21 and 22 are representative figures for the respective distances. And as I told you some time back, distance is directly proportional to speed in this case, because the time of journey is same. Hence, we can definitely say these numbers will also represent the speeds. Now, what they have asked, that is important for you to understand, how much faster than A does B have to run, which means they are saying B speed is what percentage more than A speed. So what basically they're asking is 22 is what percentage more than 21. So you can absolutely, you can find it out very easy. So 21 minus 22 minus 21 divided by 21, all right, which is in a lot of classes I keep on telling you that you need to know some basic fractions and their corresponding percentage values. That helps a lot while problem solving, because in most of these tests they will not allow you calculators. So it will be 1/3, all right, of 1 by 7. If you notice, that is 1 by 21. They have it comes out to be 1 by 21, right? Now 1 by 7 is nothing but 14.28%. So it will be 14.28 divided by 3, which will be closest to 4.72 in the options, because we have done a little bit of approximation, right? So it's okay. So just one sec, guys. Let me change the color. Okay, so our answer choice is option number 4, that is 4.72. Yeah, wasn't it interesting? So we had to apply basic fundamental knowledge of geometry and time and distance, and then it was a simple calculation at the end of the day, right? So we are here. So our answer is option number 4. I presume that was clear. So I'll move on. All right. So here comes the next one. It seems to be a long question. It seems to be a huge question, in fact. So a lot of students may have a tendency to leave questions which are very, very big or looks very, very big. Definitely, I don't blame you guys. Under pressure, that is the fastest decision that you can take. But trust me, I have seen from my experiences, in most of the times, the bigger questions are easier, right? So all I'm trying to tell you is the difficulty level of a question has nothing to do with its length, right? So let me quickly, please read the question quickly. So let me by the time draw the diagram to explain you what is being said out here. So it is about a tunnel which is connecting two cities, that is A and B, which are basically 20 kilometers away. Okay, so the distance between A and B are 20. Now what they have said is there are three gutters. In such a way they have located, the gutters are located, you need to understand that part. So one thing they have said is the distance between uh, A and gutter 1 is same as the distance between gutter 3 and B. And they have also said that gutter 2 is located in such a position that the distance between gutter 1 and gutter 2 is half of the distance between gutter 2 and gutter 3. So that is how we can represent the numbers. So just keep in mind that the distance between A and gutter 1 is same as the distance between gutter 3 and B. All right. Uh, Now they have said this guy started with the ambulance started at a speed of 30 km/h. Okay. So the first thing is we need to figure out. They have said the first gutter was crossed after 5 minutes. So please understand in 5 minutes how much of a distance will it travel. So 30 into 5 by 60. Yes. So I'm not doing that entire calculation. Please understand distance is speed into time. Here they have said 5 minutes. So I have to convert that 5 into R. That will be written as 5 by 60. All right. So that will be 30 into 5 by 60, which is how much? That is definitely 2.5. All right. 30 into 5 by 60. That's 2.5. So I can say that this distance will be 2.5. Now you see, if that distance is 2.5, then this much is also 2.5 because those two distances are same. So you figure out that these two put together is 5 kilometers. So you take it out from 20, so you're left with 15, which is basically the distance between gutter 1 and gutter 3. Now, how can I break 15 in the ratio 1:2? Very easy. How can I break or how can I split the number 15 in the ratio 1:2? So of course, one part will be 5 and the other part will be 10. All right. Now you see you have the distances, respective distances between the cities and between the gutters, right? So now for time being, let me assume that there was no change in speed, although they have said that he's doubled the speed, but we'll come to this later. I'm assuming that there was no change in the speed. So this vehicle kept on running at 30 km/h, which is what it started with. So understand, if I want to figure out from gutter 1, if it goes to gutter 3 and comes back to city A, I repeat, from gutter 1, if it goes to city A, how many minutes it will travel. So you can figure out 15 plus 15, that is 30 plus 2.5, that will be 32.5. All right. So you see, if I do not change the speed, I can say that to travel a distance of 2.5 kilometers, it took me 5 minutes. All right, because they have said the first distance of 2.5 was covered in 5 minutes. So the distance of 32.5 will be covered in how much time? You can definitely do this by applying unitary method. That is very powerful method. You can see it's a very simple method. The fun is you can do the same multiplying factor. If that part goes multiplied by 2, then this part will be multiplied by 2 as well. Hence it will be definitely 65 minutes. All right. But then we assume that the speed is not changing, but they have actually said the speed has been doubled. So if the speed gets doubled, then the time will be halved, which means instead of 65, it would have taken 32.5. Now what time is this? This is the time taken by the vehicle to go from gutter 1 to gutter 3 and back to city A. So that time is 32.5. So we have already spent 2.5 minutes to come to gutter 3, and then we add this 32.5, that is the time taken to travel from gutter 1 to gutter 3 and back to city A. Along with that, they have said that this 1 minute will be taken to pick up the patient, which means we add 1 minute out here. And oh, I'm so sorry, this will not be 2.5, this will be 5 minutes. That 2.5 was basically distance. So in the beginning, 5 minutes was spent to reach at gutter 1 from city A. After that, from gutter 1 to gutter 3 back to city A, it took 32.5 minutes. And to pick up the patient at gutter 3, 1 more minute was elapsed. So the total out of all this is 38.5. All right. So you can do the addition easily. It will be 38.5. So when they started, that definitely it is 1.5. So I have also seen, if you can visualize a question, if you can draw a neat diagram at times the calculations or the actual scenario becomes easy for you to comprehend. All right, although it was looking very big, the question was looking very big, you would not actually spend so much of time as I took to explain you step by step. You will take much less time in the exam hall, because in the exam hall you are not having to explain to anyone. All right, so great. So I'll move on to the next one. So let me carry on. Yes, that is another interesting question. In fact, you will wonder, uh, you may not have to apply, in fact, most of the concepts of time and distance, although people will try to apply the concepts of relative speed in these kind of questions. This is actually taken from an original CAT paper. So let me understand. So if you read the question carefully, you will realize that each of these three people, A, B, and K, so I'm just calling them by the initial alphabet, A, B, and K, all three of them have traveled the same distance. Please understand, they started from a particular point and they had reached at a particular point. So this distance is same for everybody. So the distance where they met with each other was one specific point, right? And the starting point is also same for all three. So the distance between the starting point and the point where they met together is constant, that is same for everyone. So if I take that distance as the LCM of these three numbers in my time and work class also, and in fact in my time and distance class, I keep on telling you guys, LCM is a very powerful tool. It is not only discussed in the chapter of numbers. Definitely you get some questions directly from the concepts of LCM and HCF, but it is a tool which is used very nicely in case of time and distance and time and work, to get the problem look very easy. So if you see out here, if I take the LCM at of 30, 40, and 60, which is 120 kilometers, right? Now you see how much time do they take separately. If I calculate to reach over there, so to travel a distance of 120 kilometers at the rate of 30 kilometer per hour, uh, this guy will take 4 hours, yes, and B will take 3 hours, that is 120 by 40, and of course K will take 2 hours, that is 120 by 60. Now you see the gap between these two numbers is 1, and the gap between these two numbers is 2. Now what they have said in the sum is Barun starts 2 hours after Arun. So I can definitely say that this one is given as 2 hours in the sum. So if this one is 2 hours, then this 2 will be what? Of course, it will be double of that, that is 4 hours. So that gives you the difference between the time of starting between Arun and Kiran, right? So your answer, of course, will be option number 3, that is 4 hours. All right. So you could see that, while taking LCM, we could make the sum look really easy. You did not have to do a lot of brainstorming. Definitely, in each of the sum, there are three type of methods usually. One is fundamental, the school wala method, the childhood method. Second is little smart method, while you are doing little bit of analysis, and the third one will be intuitive method. So I'm in the level 2. While I'm discussing, I'm taking you away from your childhood method, I'm discussing those smart techniques. Definitely there could be a third level of methods for almost all the sums, right, which is more like intuitive methods. All right, let me come to this one. Pretty interesting. So it's about circular motion of time and distance, one interesting part, right? But at times, it might look little complicated if they tell you seventh meeting point, or they could have told you to make it more complicated, 17th meeting point or 20th meeting point, etc. But there is a quick trick. So I want to show you that quick trick to solve these kind of questions. Firstly, let me look at this path. So this is a circular path of length 500, as they have said. Now, how do we start this question? So please understand, they have said that they are starting from a particular point in opposite direction. So one guy is running at 6 and the other guy is running at 4, and their speed ratio, if you see, has been given as 2 is to 3. So I'm just writing the speed ratio 4 is to 6, that is 2 is to 3. Now you see, when they travel in opposite directions, so to find relative speed when you travel in opposite directions, you basically add the speeds, right? I repeat, when you travel in opposite directions, to get the relative speeds, you're supposed to add the speed. So you do one thing, you add these two numbers, although these are not actual numbers, these are the ratio numbers, but just add these two numbers. While we add these two numbers, we get 5, all right? So the next thing that you guys should do is to divide this circle into 5 equal parts. So just why did I do that? You will realize that very, very soon. So it will be very easy for you to identify the respective meeting points. So you see, I can say that this guy is traveling at a speed of 3 and this guy is traveling at a speed of 2. So by the time this guy reaches or takes 3 parts, this guy will go 2 parts. So this will be definitely give the first meeting point, all right? So this point will be the first meeting point. Again, if you see, the guy who is moving clockwise is moving at a speed of 3 and this guy who's moving anti-clockwise moving at a speed of 2. So by the time this guy moves 1 2 3 parts, this guy will move 2 parts, and hence this will represent the second meeting point. Again, you continue doing this. So this, from here on, this guy will try take a path like this. So by the time this guy takes 3 parts, this guy will travel 2 parts. That means this will represent the third meeting point. Now if you notice carefully, the meeting points are shifting anti-clockwise, leaving one place in between. So if I follow that pattern, I can say that this will be the fourth meeting point. All right. So if I look here, and then this will be the fifth meeting point. Similarly, this will be the sixth meeting point, and this will be the seventh meeting point. Yeah. So that is how it becomes so easy for you to identify the respective meeting points. And of course, they have said what is the shortest distance along the track between the starting point and the seventh meeting point. So then you find out the length of this much, which is basically, and hence your answer to this question will be 100 meters. All right. Wasn't it interesting? So this was a very quick way of analyzing this. I'll take you to the next one. In fact, that is also from time and distance, as we are discussing on the context of time and distance today. So this is from boats and streams. Um, so, uh, so if you read the question, they have said this boat was traveling upstream. Now we all know what is upstream. Upstream refers to a situation where the boat travels in the opposite direction as the river current. So the boat must have started like this. Now let me imagine a situation where the cap falls out here at this particular point. Now after that, the boat kept on traveling upstream for next 6 seconds, and then it turned. And so imagine that the cap was found from here, because by the time the cap falls and it was retrieved between this, the cap will also flow with the river. So they have said this distance is 12 meters. Okay. Now let us do a quick calculation first. So I would like to solve this question mathematically to begin with, and then I'll tell you the core concept of I'll reason it out with the core concept or common sense. So firstly, if I try to understand, while the boat was moving upstream, what was the relative speed of the boat with respect to the cap? So if I assume the cap to be static, then with respect to the cap, what was the perceived speed or effective speed of the boat, that is relative speed? So firstly, the upstream speed would be u minus v, right? If the boat is moving against the river current, of course, the river will resist the boat. Now, since the boat and the cap are moving in opposite direction, while boat was moving upstream, but cap will always move downstream. So then, since two objects are moving in opposite directions, which are independent, so we should add the speeds to get the relative speeds. All right. So we should add the speed of cap, which is v, which is same as the river. So it will be u. Okay, so you see minus and plus will get cancelled, so v will get cancelled, so you get u, which means we can definitely say while the boat was moving away from the cap, the perceived speed or the relative speed of the boat with respect to the cap was u. Now imagine a situation while the boat turned back. At that point of time, the boat was traveling downstream, and that moment the speed of the boat was u plus v. And of course, during that situation, the boat and the cap both are traveling in the same direction. So when two independent objects move in the same direction, you subtract their speeds to get the relative speed. So if you do that, it turns out to be u again. So we can definitely say that uh, the boat was traveling away from cap at u with respect to the cap, and while it was coming closer to the cap, it was again coming closer at a speed of u with respect to the cap, which means with respect to the cap, if the boat took 6 seconds to move away, then the boat will again take the same 6 seconds to come back, because the relative, the effective speeds are same, the perceived speeds are same. All right. So the journey between the cap falls into the river and the cap was picked up from the river was 12 seconds, 6 seconds plus 6 seconds, right? So that was the total duration of time between the time when the cap falls into the river and the time when the cap was picked up from the river. The duration was 12 seconds. And what has happened during that 12 seconds? The cap has moved away 12 meters. So what was the speed of the river? That was the question, right? So definitely it will be 1 meter per second. Okay, so that is the speed of the river, which is 1 meter per second. Now let me look at the fundamental concept, why it was u in both the directions. So it has a very logical explanation, so let me help you understand that. I'm sure guys, you must have seen those conveyor belts in airports. So the luggages move on conveyor belts. Now imagine you leave a cat and a rat on the conveyor belt such that the cat is chasing the rat. um, and imagine two numbers, like say the rat is traveling at 8 meter per second and the cat is chasing the rat at 2 meter per second. So what will be the relative speed? Of course 10 minus 8, that is 2 meter per second. Very easy. Now you do one thing, you switch off the conveyor belt. Now what is the relative speed between the cat and the rat? Still they are running at 10 and 8 meter per second respectively, so the relative speed will be still 2 meter per second only. Now you do one thing, you switch on the conveyor belt once again, and this time you make it move in the opposite direction. Now what will be the relative speed between the cat and the rat? Again it will be 2 meter per second. So all I am trying to tell you, when two objects move on the same reference frame, then the mobility of the reference frame does not matter. So by reference frame I mean the conveyor belt. As long as we are trying to figure out the relative speed between the cat and the rat, we don't care. As long as they move on the same surface, we don't care about the mobility of that surface. Come back to this particular situation as the question suggests. Imagine the river to be analogical to the conveyor belt. So if I switch it off, which means as if the river is not moving at all, which means if the cap falls at a particular point, it will stay at that point only, it will not move from there, because the river is not flowing. That is what we have assumed. Not only that, And since the river is not moving, if the boat moves away at u, because nothing is resisting the boat, then there is no question of upstream or downstream. So if the boat is moving away at u, it will come back at u. That is the reason for which we got u as the effective speed of the boat with respect to the cap in both the directions. All right, so that is how I wanted to explain you logically why in both the directions u was coming. And of course, if u is the effective speed, then it has to be 6 seconds on either side. So 12 by 12, 12 meter by 12 seconds, that is 1 meter per second. That would be your answer. Okay, so cool. So I think that was quite a bit of brainstorming on time and distance today. So guys, I will definitely catch up with you next time with another area, another topic, and another set of interesting question. Till then, please do take very, very good care of yourself. And please plan for your daily activities in a very progressive manner, and stay safe and healthy. All right, guys, take very good care of yourself. Thank you so very much, and good night. Bye bye.